project.
You're trying to let the public know about, you might want to just turn your chair a little bit or something. I mean, it's,
Yeah, I'll do it maybe when we started, just to reiterate. Thank you. Reminders are helpful. And
the staff is obviously expecting this, so that's the odds at least about what's going to happen.
I'm gonna go over that. Could we use reference our policy, or is that aside? Yeah, I think both. Where's the limit? It would be my.
I say start with 5 minutes if things are getting crazy or down to 3 or an overall time limit.
Yeah. Do we want to add Dennis right after C? Does that work? And you can go up to the podium as well, right? Up to the podium. I'll, I think I gave my pen away, so.
I have one.
That's all.
Do I have two?
Yeah, Robin, yours they brought to finance meeting, so that would be 10.
Oh, I'll get mine later. So I'm going to start the working session.
Okay, I'm not sure.
I think we'll just acknowledge him, let him up to speak. Does that seem reasonable? So I'm just going to start the working session, and maybe Mike's on too. Reiterate what I just said a little bit ago, is that if you want to speak to us tonight, we're asking that you do fill out this citizens forum request, front back. And right now we've got 3 on there. So when we are going to limit them to 5 minutes tonight, just to allow for staff to do their presentations as well. So, and then anything that we do here on and listen to, we don't make decisions on that typically in the same evening, and that is policy. So I don't know if I missed anything. Okay, well, I'm going to call the working session to order again. And first on Citizens Forum is Georgiana Klostermeyer, and we are asking that, is she here? No.
She was here, I thought.
Okay.
No. I don't see her.
Yeah, where'd you go?
Oh,
Did she think maybe it was the 7 o'clock one, do you think?
I don't know.
I don't know either. Okay, well,
we can come back
We'll
to her
come
if
to-
she shows up.
sounds good. Hunt.
Moving right along.
Moving right along. Katie Nelson. And this is regarding the lack of college counseling at Lake of the Woods.
I do have packets for you guys too. I emailed them to you guys earlier today too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so I did prepare a little speech first, and then I'll ask questions after, answer any. So good evening, everyone. I am Katie Nelson, and I'm a senior at Lake of the Woods High School, and I'm currently attending classes at Minnesota North Campus as a PSEO student. In preparation for tonight, I did write a letter to the school board members on January 5th. Unfortunately, I did only hear back from 3 members, Lynn, Tim, and Corinne. I'm here to further discuss the lack of support students are receiving in the area of college and career readiness. I want to address what Lake of the Woods School is doing, what other schools are doing, the relationship with regional colleges, and how students are being affected. Earlier today, I emailed you guys a packet that I've now provided to each of you as well. First, I'd like to address what Lake of the Woods School is doing to support students with their next step. In the packet in front of you, a reply from Lynn is included. Mary Merchant provided most of the reply addressing what the school is doing to support students. Quote, Room F110 is designated as the Career and College Information Center. There is also a file cabinet that has information that was sent to the school from surrounding colleges. In addition to the room, Jeff Burcham and his wife Gretchen and myself are meeting with juniors and seniors to discuss how Lake of the Woods School will help them with their planning, unquote. Mary also stated that she is available to students on a daily basis to meet with them individually or in a small group to assist with college and career planning, and information is communicated through the PA system. I started planning for my future last year and experienced much different than what Mary has described. Luckily, with the help of Jeff and Gretchen and my family and an outstanding admissions representative at Minnesota North Campus, I was able to make an informed decision to propose a PSEO opportunity. This does not happen for most students, though. What is said to be happening at the school is not enough. The designated college counseling center is a deserted classroom and a glorified storage space with a printer, a bunch of chairs, desks, and random other items with a few posters. We can do better than this. We need to do better than this. Next, I'd like to discuss what other schools are doing. In the packet provided information about Warroad, Roseau, Kellier, North Home, Indus, and Black Duck schools, all of which have a part-time guidance counselor or full-time. I had the pleasure of speaking with Kim Haruba, the Warroad guidance counselor, to discuss her role and what Warroad High School is doing for their students. These include, but are not limited to, parent and student meetings, FAFSA classes, and unique beginning of the end presentation for 10th graders. She expressed that there is in-person events at the school in addition to their website resources have provided to be successful. Most of the area's schools websites provide helpful information such as junior and senior year checklists, videos, how to do FAFSA, available scholarships, along with clear intentions of how they are going to support their students, and so much more. To me, it is no surprise that we are losing students to these other school districts due to lack of support in this area. Next, Lake of the Woods School could be better at building relationships with regional colleges and career readiness. According to college admissions representatives, high school without a designated college and career counselor have low attendance rates when visiting their schools and a low number of applications to their institutions. Building and maintaining relationships with our regional college is crucial to the success of our students' future. On September 19th, 2022, the Minnesota Association of College Admissions Counseling hosted a college fair at Warroad High School. This was a huge opportunity for area students to meet reps from nearly 100 colleges. Lake of the Woods School was invited and did not attend. However, despite the short notice, Warroad, Indus, Roseau, Greenbush, and Badger schools all attended. These Minnesota education fairs have been every year all across the state. Whether the invite was late notice or not, Lake of the Woods School should have been aware of this regularly hosted fair. Although Lake of the Woods School missed the ball on the recent fair, I'd like to give credit to the community-hosted efforts such as the Reality Check event in 2021 and 2022, and the 2020 Alumni Career Connection event. There is more detail in your guys' packets describing what these events were and if you are unfamiliar with them. But the point I'd like to make is that these events were all coordinated by community members, not the school itself. Lastly, I'd like to address how this affects students, our main overall concern. I conducted a survey with my classmates. I've included information in your packets, As you can tell from the survey, 100% of students want to do something as they plan for their future. 74% of those students have a plan to attend an institution of higher education. Navigating the college admissions process is confusing to most everyone. There is a long to-do list in order to complete a college application. The other 26% of students that plan to pursue careers are just as important in helping with their career, shadowing opportunities, and job applications. How do you expect students to just figure it out when adults have difficulties navigating these same processes? When students have a plan, they will do better in school, prioritize graduation, and increase mental health. 85% of Lakewood high school seniors believed that a college counselor would be beneficial for students. I speak on behalf of my classmates when I say we do not feel prepared for our post-secondary plans due to the lack of support in our school. In conclusion, this is a long-standing issue that needs to be addressed. I hope after hearing my concerns, you all agree with me when I say that we need a part-time guidance counselor hired at this school. I thank you guys for taking the time to hear me out. I know as a board you try to make the best decisions for students, and that's why I feel I had to bring this to you.
Thank you.
Yes. And I have extra packets, anybody?
Did you guys get the email from her earlier?
I don't
today?
think I did.
Okay.
I didn't by 3.
I don't see it in mine, so.
I checked my email at 3 before I came.
Okay.
I did find all your guys' emails on the school website.
Yeah.
So
I got the first one, I didn't get anything today, though.
I didn't get anything
Yeah, I
today
didn't either, so.
It's the same packet.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's
It's the
okay.
same package,
I maybe
but
just
for
missed
later
it.
communication, it'd be nice to
Yeah.
have correct information.
Possibly a copy of just what you just read through,
yes.
that would be helpful. So I think you have some, points in there that we could maybe
Discuss.
take to, I don't know, committee or what, but.
Can we ask questions too of her, or is that?
Yes, but I think we have to watch our time frame tonight.
Yep.
So, what do you think, Jeff? Because we could run into this,
No,
or,
I'm not trying to create something there,
Give
I
it
just,
5 minutes for questions.
okay,
yeah,
Fair
I mean,
enough.
put a time frame on it or
Yep.
something.
Yeah.
You don't mind standing up there, do you? I mean, that way, I mean, there are some people at home, and you did well with it, so I don't mean to force you into an uncomfortable situation. One of your words was long-standing issues, with this.
Yes.
And I know you got older brothers. Would they
Yes.
echo that sentiment in terms of their generational?
I love that you said that. Maddie, did you guys have a school counselor?
No. I graduated 2014, Cole graduated 2013, Cody graduated 2016, my sister graduated 2017. There's not been a counselor in the school since then.
I mean, I'm thinking of, obviously, the numbers when the school was quite a bit bigger, like when my kids were in it back in the single digits of the 2000. I can't honestly say if we've ever had, in that time even, was there a career counselor? Because at that time, there were a lot of kids going off to college. I mean, I think that was part of the, but I don't think that there was a college counselor per se, at least in the formal sense of it, even at that time when there were, kids, maybe more kids going off to four-year schools.
Well, just simply more children in the school.
Right, maybe the percentages are the same, I don't know.
Yeah.
But you couldn't tell me like when the last time we had a college counselor, that's what I'm asking, I guess.
No. Could any of you guys on the board
Mike
tell me?
Leahy was the last.
It's been a long time ago.
I would say late 1990s.
Yeah, so I mean, quite a
Yes.
bit
Yeah.
back. And why that position wouldn't be there anymore? I mean, was there a conscious, do you remember if there was a conscious effort
I
to
think that was
abandon it?
declining, back then there was lots of declining enrollment and lots of cuts and.
But you guys, Indus has a part-time council. They have way smaller numbers than you have. These other schools are somehow covering it. How come we're not?
Yeah, and I'm not looking for an excuse when I say that. I'm just wondering how long ago it was. Was there a conscious departure? And like you say, probably budget cuts and everything else, something like we'll even talk about tonight.
I'm
But
super old. I graduated in '94 and we had a full-time guidance counselor.
yeah, The Leahy guy, would that make sense? Same one?
No, it was Randy Nelson.
I had Randy when he started like freshman year, but then he was gone. And
But
then it went to Brian.
and I don't mean anything, I can say he didn't guide me at all, so.
We had meetings with him.
Yeah,
He was forced to do meetings, I assume. Yeah, but then someone took it over after him.
Jeff, is there so we already have some work in this realm happening at the school. Is that something that group, Mary, Jeff, Gretchen?
Yeah, we'll have to look at what we're offering, how we're offering it, and we
Yeah.
can contact some of these schools and see what they're doing differently,
And I guess there's always room for improvement and ideas, but
a lot of times it's been the high school principal that's taken on a lot of the scholarships and that role for.
I guess I'll ask real quick, what sort of thing would you be looking for? Is it just directing towards colleges, how to apply to a college? Or are you looking for how to get scholarships, or what sort of thing?
So yeah, I want a part-time guidance counselor hired at the school.
To do what?
To help with students apply for colleges, look at job shadow opportunities, connect with these, like outside colleges and have these colleges come in and talk to students. I really encourage you to look at the packet and see what the World counselor is doing. Her name's Kim, and she's doing amazing things. She has scholarship nights, FAFSA nights to help students apply for this FAFSA, help students apply for scholarships, get them she's even doing shadowing opportunities. She's doing meetings with the 10th graders to get them like worried about what they're doing. She's doing a whole bunch. And even some of the college counselor that I talked to that goes to Kellier and Northome and part-time in Indus, she's doing like ACT testing, ASVAB testing, those type of tests, ACTs. She's doing a whole bunch. The role of the guidance counselor isn't just strictly for 2 grades, it's for the whole high school.
Did you reference that the right way, like are there schools sharing that guidance counselor?
Yes, so their school is. So Kellier Northome, she's there like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then she's going to Indus Thursday, Friday, every week. So both schools have a part-time guidance counselor.
And would that be like a co-opted hiring, Jeff, or would that be something Rick does?
Oh, I don't know how they're doing it.
Well, Indus and Northome are the same school district.
Northome that's South Cooch, Kellier is
Yeah,
separate.
Kellier
so.
is separate.
I think I'm gonna cut us off now so we can keep moving, but I would ask that you send that packet to us again, maybe.
Okay.
And then also your statement tonight, because there was a lot of questions and things that we could maybe look at and try to
Okay,
respond to.
and I'd love to get on the next agenda to see how you guys have worked through this issue and discussed about it.
You may need to give us a little time, but yes. keep
Well,
us
when's
at
the next
task.
board meeting?
Next month.
In a month.
It's
Yeah, I
usually
mean, we will
the same
discuss
time
it.
next month.
Giving you my word, we're not gonna just sweep it under the carpet.
Yeah.
You can tell there's an interest in it. I mean, you brought up a good point. We're looking at something that's maybe a lack, and if it
Yes.
hasn't happened since 1990, it's probably time to address it again.
Yes,
So appreciate you resurrecting that.
yes, thank you.
Oh, Gretchen,
Can I submit something for the next meeting too, as far as from the perspective of Jeff and I, how it's working?
Yeah, and that's what I was thinking, maybe Mary and you guys could work together to, once we get her questions and concerns, that we could create a response, just so we can kind of have some dialogue there, so.
March 27th is our next board meeting.
All right, so back to Ms. Klostermeyer. I don't know if she's here yet. So, no? Okay, I guess we're gonna have to move on from her to Dennis Johnson. And
I had talked to Corinne, I don't know, last week or a couple weeks ago, about what types of meetings are allowed in the school. And she said, well, we can't discriminate against anyone. So you mean to tell me there's no perimeters set as to what can go on in the school, private meetings?
Well, we have policy that dictates, you know, what's.
Well, what's the policy?
I have 3 of them that would, I don't know if they're the right ones, so. Equal access to school facilities. 902 is use of school facilities.
Well, I can tell you what groups have met here after school and before
Well,
school.
that's fine.
Okay,
But what about in the future? I mean, what if somebody comes in here and says they want to have a Nazi meeting in the school? You cannot discriminate against that?
well, there's criteria that you look at as far as if it's a hate group and stuff like that, yes.
A lot of them will say it's not a hate group. What do you say?
Well, that's something I'd have to,
Yeah, you know, I'm not trying to pigeonhole you on anything here.
Yeah.
But I'm concerned about what will go forward with this kind of stuff in our community.
what kind of stuff are you?
Well, I mean, if anybody can come in here and say, we want to have a meeting in the public school, and, you know, kind of just drill it to the students, not to the general public, you know, where parents are maybe excluded from some of these things. I mean, that's a real concern of mine. I mean, I don't have children in school anymore. I don't have grandchildren in school anymore. But I do pay a lot of taxes in this county. And I want to see things stay what represents the county. I mean, I'm not trying to put this political, but if you see the way Lake of the Woods County voters have voted over the last few years, it's very conservative. And the values are what I would call family values. So I would just like to see you guys put out some kind of thing as perimeters of what can happen. And I don't think parents should ever be excluded from what's going on in any meetings that goes on in the school. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any discussion on that?
Be straight to the point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Move on. All right, next up, I think that's it, right, for citizens forum? So we'll move on to board committees. Right.
Nobody else has to,
Nope, we had no other,
Oh, George.
yeah, right,
okay, she's done here.
okay, school forest.
I'll take it if you want.
Go for it.
I gotta get money. School forest was, once again, always one of the fun meetings that you get to go to. And we are actually somewhat solvent, which is one of the real highlights of it. Actually, I think we were giving money back if some of you are paying real close attention to this, but our current balance was in arrears, or was a little overblown, and we had to rethink our discussion. But the bottom line is, we talked about 2 things. One is we're going to build a 3-sided structure in the school forest. There's a pad for it right now, and hopefully get more use out of our outdoor facilities there. The sunny day kind of a classroom event there apparently goes quite well, but the rainy, windy, too sunny a day type thing will keep people indoors. So we're finalizing anyway plans for building a 3-sided shelter. It's called a loafing shed, and I guess, of course, people know about a loafing shed. I thought it was poorly named because, what 12-year-old kid doesn't want to go out to a loafing shed? I mean, what's he expected to do there? But anyway, that's in progress, and the Mrs. Haspargen's class is going to undertake the building of that building. So we're in the process of getting materials and a few other, as a matter of fact, there's a good crowd of you here. We are looking for a few other capable adults to be part of that process, to oversee the building of that, being involved with the kids. So something to look forward to. And then secondly, we talked about other events, the Arbor Day tree planting, which is a standard yearly event. We plant trees out there and then they get mowed down by accident. It's really ritualized. And then the big bog trip in the spring got organized, and then finally the candlelight ski, which is March 8th, which again, invite everybody to. We seem to get a good turnout on the children's side of things, people with kids, but it's not just for people with kids. I mean, it's an event that we groom the trails, hot chocolate, hot dogs, and we'll spend 3, 4, 5 hours out there. Probably people show up as early as 4 o'clock, but I think it's planned for 5 to 7 on the 8th, and would encourage anybody who has a thought either about snowshoeing, cross-country skiing, or just hanging out, eating a hot dog and having hot chocolate outdoors on an outdoor fire. It's a really good event. So that's the forestry report.
Next up would be policy committee. Did we meet? I don't have my notes. We went over the ones that were,
We
yeah,
have a list of policies.
single reading ones.
Yeah, there were minor
All they're
changes.
minor
Yeah.
changes. A lot of it had to do with legal references.
Yeah,
So there's a list of them,
it's been a while.
and there's copies in your packet, but they're all for just one reading and approval.
Yeah, nothing major on that. Finance committee.
Okay, so just going over our revenues and expenditures for the year. Our year total revenues are as follows. Our state revenue received is $480,712 higher than what was originally budgeted. That's due to the buffer in enrollment that we had planned. So enrollment is slightly higher than what we had budgeted. Our federal revenue is at 25% received for the year. Our grant draws for Q1 and Q2 were completed in January, but will be received in February. Our food service has received 54% of our budgeted revenues for the year, and we are on track to finish higher than what is projected. Community ed has received 22% of our budgeted revenues for the year, and that will level off at the end of the year once we complete the transfer. I did list on our finance report each grant and how much was expended and drawn for Q1 and Q2. USDA Supply Chain Assistance Fund 2 grant, we did receive $12,951 in December, and we found out we will be receiving an additional $8,000, and we haven't gotten that yet, but it will be coming. We also will be receiving $6,000 from a Farm to School First Bite grant. What we do is the funds are used to purchase from local vendors, so I believe we'll be utilizing a local rice vendor and then also a local meat vendor that meets the requirements of the grant. So we will purchase food from them, and then we're able to get reimbursed from the state. For our expenditures, our salaries and wages are at 52% expended for the year. Our employee benefits are at 60%. They're running a little bit higher than we anticipated. Our capital expenditures are $59,498 over budget. But this was anticipated due to our chiller project being $20,000 higher than what was budgeted. And also the chiller project was originally budgeted last year to be be under ESSER, like the federal grant, but the application wasn't complete, so we just moved it to being a capital expenditure. We also do have, I believe, over $400,000 sitting available for capital expenditures right now, so we'll just reduce that a little bit this year, because we'll be receiving over $900,000 in revenue this year for capital. Our student activity accounts, I attached the balance,
It's 90,000 we'll be receiving this year.
just over 90,000.
Yeah.
Yep, and then I believe we are at, well, I said, we're currently $59,498 over budget.
Yeah,
So, over budget, over the 90,000.
She did say 900.
You said 900, that's the
Oh,
only.
I'm sorry.
That's the only reason.
Half the
I'm
board jumped
sorry.
up and cheered, didn't you hear that?
Right, sorry about that. So I did type up a document for our student activity proposals. I will need the board to approve payment to AAA for the following. Would you like me to review the document, or does everyone have it?
All right, we've got it in our, it's in the packet.
Okay, perfect. So following our audit, we just need to get some of our accounts cleaned up. Old accounts closed. We'll be transferring some funds, so I went through and listed each account and the balances for each. So if you have any questions on that, let me know. I also attached our revised budget for the 2022-2023 school year. The original budget was based on 426 students, K through 12. We'll continue with that number for the revised budget, but we'll also have 18 voluntary pre-K early childhood special ed students. So we'll see a increase of revenue for those. They were originally under budget. And we will still be under budget by 4, so at least we'll have a buffer in case there are any changes through the end of the school year. So in our original budget, we had a deficit of $45,078. Our special ed expenditures were under budgeted, as well as our capital expenditures. Looking back over the last 4 years, our special ed has actually been under budgeted significantly, and then our expenditures continue to increase. So we're going to close that gap now with the budget revision. So our revised budget with all funds combined are looking at a deficit of $92,868. Any questions on the finance information?
Dumb question, how does capital expenditure get committed funds, $90,000 worth of committed funds? Where does that come from?
We make a capital list that we discuss over the year, and you can, there's different items that you would put under capital, meaning they have a longer life.
The revenue comes, it's listed on our levy sheet each year. It's formula based, so there's sort of a set amount that the state provides, and then part of it's paid and part of it's levy.
Right, there's
So that's
two
kinda
revenue
set at the
sources.
state what we get, or what we have to reserve. It's a restricted fund, so it's kind of that dollar amount that we get from the state is set.
But for instance, when we said you got $200,000 plus in terms of pool reconstruction, we have the right then in terms of the unrestricted fund to go ahead and move that in there and make that adjustment. I mean, if we have a capital expense that we can't,
That you don't use, yeah, you can use your unreserved fund for anything.
to work on the pool and then, like we did. Okay.
Pool is a little different, that's. a
But I
different
understand
levy.
that, but
And
I
that's
just-
based, that's all local levy, and that's based on expenses. But we were allowed to spread the payment out, or the tax burden, over a number of years. So we have to cover it in the general fund, but as far as the taxpayers, they see it spread out over multiple years, so it's not a increase right off the bat.
Right.
So that's where that comes in.
Who's gonna pay us back, basically? Like, pay capital back?
Eventually.
Thank you, Sheena.
Yeah, no problem.
Anything else from Finance Committee? Next up, we have Superintendent's report.
So I'll start off with my to-do list for March 27th working session. And number one, we'll be meeting with Mary and Burchams and assessing what our guidance services are, and we'll do some research to see what other schools are doing so we can address that. And then I will look at what our present procedures and processes are for allowing access to public school building, what we can and cannot do. And I will have a formal presentation at the working session next month to go over how those decisions are made.
Okay. Everybody in the back row hear what's being said?
No.
Okay.
I said, next month on my to-do list is to go over our guidance services that we provide, present information, and I'll bring information on school facility use procedures and processes. So that's what we'll be discussing at the March 27th working session. So I see Mr. Johnson left already. If you want to let him know, that's fine. Moving on, our enrollment, we're maintaining at 238 at the elementary. We're down 1 in the high school to 191. I know there's some people that are here about some of our budget cuts. Just some background, some brief history. Back in March 20th of 2020, I don't know if we all remember that far back, but we did have a special board meeting. And at that board meeting, we outlined budget and enrollment projections. And at that time, we had $210,000+ deficit. We did implement some cost savings of about $200,000 for fiscal year 21. That included kindergarten in one section. We had several retirements, such as an English and Spanish teacher resignation that we absorbed. We consolidated a bus route, and we did not renew our ODC contract, and that person provided some clerical support work in the district office. Also at that time, we talked about fiscal year 23 and projected a further budget reductions because of enrollment. So the fact that we're sitting here today looking at some budget reductions is not necessarily a surprise. And if you look, this is from our audit. It's our 10-year general fund. This is our Fund 1 balance. And it's kind of color-coded with committed in the light blue, non-spendable in the yellow, restricted in the red, assigned is in the green, and then unassigned is the blue. I'm not going to go through all my bullet points that I sent out in the board packet. You can read through that. But if you look here, this dip here was because of enrollment. But if you look at our overall general fund balance, other than 2021 and 2022, you can kind of see where we've kind of stabilized. The different fund accounts have changed a little bit. You can see that our unassigned has gone down, while at the same time our restricted, such as we just got done talking about capital outlay, those have gone up. You know, right now we have about a $400,000 capital outlay fund balance. What happened here is this is the federal and state ESSER dollars for the COVID. I believe total was like 1.2 million. A lot of that we had to submit applications, we had to identify what we were going to spend it on, and it was kind of restricted on what we could or could not. But that accounts for this jump in our general fund. And this is, we're still spending on some of those federal dollars, and we might even have some going into fiscal year 24. to spend that down. What I'm trying to get to is we take the federal COVID dollars out of the picture and we're still kind of in this predicament right here. We're not in dire straits, but if we don't do some timely adjustments as we move, it can snowball to where we are in trouble. Any questions on this?
Why did the restricted get so increased over the course of that 2-year period too?
It's how we spend the dollars. If we buy a bus out of our unassigned rather than capital, those dollars go up.
Which we
for
did.
unassigned.
2 years ago, I thought we bought a bus.
Buy or lease?
I think we've been doing leases. We've been trying to pay out leases and get to a point where we just buy them every so often.
Okay.
I'd have to pull that up. I don't remember all the minutia that goes with bus leases. But that's why the restricted is how you choose to spend your dollars. Safe schools is another one we've built up a fund balance. And sometimes you do that on purpose.
For a bigger project.
For bigger projects, I mean, we have our fob system, camera system that needs to upgrade the phone system. We use our safe school funds for that. We're looking at a number of windows in the building that are getting old and need to be replaced, so that's another reason we would kind of build up our capital as well. So if we have some planned big expenses, we can kind of manage for that. Any other questions? Looking at enrollment. The highlighted yellow, that's just our census. In fact, all these numbers it's just the head count. When I get to our projection model, they'll be talking about pupil units and average daily membership. These numbers are just a head count of kids. And this, I got ahead of myself. So this graphic is in reference to, as we talked about, absorbing positions. And one of our reductions of one FTE, we have a resignation to approve today for a math position. We're going to be able to reassign current staff, so we do not have to advertise or hire that position. So that'll be a cost savings without having to lay anyone off. The other option that I'm getting to here now is the proposal is the shift 6th grade up to the high school. And the rationale behind that, if you look at our numbers, and I'm looking at the high school where it's shaded, and there's nothing magical about class sizes in the high school under 30, depending on the situation and everything. There were times where if it was less than a certain number of kids in a section that we would lay people off part-time. So as we get these smaller numbers spread out over the high school and the number of staff, traditionally, if there was not a certain amount of kids in a classroom, we would reduce that position. Shifting the 6th grade up will help eliminate having to do that. Barry will talk a little bit about the schedule and how that will work. Having a middle school, junior high that we're proposing here with the 6th grade movement up is very common in a lot of schools, and there's lots of benefits. There's things that we need to pay attention to, but and in my report that's in the board packet, I've kind of made some bullet points. I'm not going to get into all of that because of time. But the rationale is, as we get fewer kids in the high school, we either have to get more kids up there, or we're going to have more people part-time. And I don't think we have too many teachers that would stay around here for a part-time position. This is a draft schedule for the high school. You want to talk about any of this?
Sure.
Okay.
Want me to just
dive in?
Just dive right in.
So, looking at bringing sixth graders to the high school, really looking at if that would happen, talking about middle school, sixth, seventh, and eighth grade, and then our senior high, ninth through 12th grade. Looking at the schedule, components that we would want to leave very similar. So for example, sixth graders would have their own homeroom, so they would begin their day and end their day with a homeroom teacher. So it'd be that person to help greet them, get them organized, so they'd have a base classroom. And looking at, for actually our sixth, seventh, and eighth grade, moving their lockers down to the F wing way down where Mr. Larson is, in those math classrooms. So that area really would be sixth, seventh, eighth grade with their lockers together. And then now how we have our seventh graders, they have that one locker hallway, and then they're moved over to the other side of the hallway, and then keep that same locker all the way through. They wouldn't switch lockers until they went to ninth grade. So then it'd be those ninth through 12th graders. And they'd still have their locker bays together where it'd be ninth grade, 10th grade, 11th, and 12th. But it would be more the senior high school students together with their locker bays, and then the middle school students with their locker bays together. If you look at the schedule, like kind of in the middle, just above Robin's head to the right where it says period 5 in blue, study hall with sixth graders. That would be a time where they could work on SEL, really help with the homework component, and then even looking at that as a time to get some additional AR time. It'd also be a time where I've discussed it with Mrs. Storbeck, because one of the great opportunities for our sixth graders is going to be they would all be with a teacher who specializes in that subject area. So looking at that as a really good opportunity for them. And then in visiting with Mrs. Storbeck during that 5th hour, as you can see, it's her prep. She's the top line up there. Looking at the option and opportunity for our sixth graders to get art from a specialized teacher a couple days out of the month. And we look at splitting them into half a group with that time, so she could have a smaller group to work with them for individualized instruction. Also looking at lunchtime to keep middle school kids a little more separated from high school kids. Visited with Jackie, and I'll need to visit with Mr. Nelson to see about adjusting the schedule to look at split lunch periods for our older kids and younger kids. So if this is something we would look at moving forward to, we really are trying to be conscientious to our sixth graders to preserve that, yes, they're still an elementary kid, but to give them more of that individualized, specialized, I guess, instruction from those licensed teachers.
Okay.
Questions?
Okay.
Where does the sixth grade go on in activities now? How does that work?
What do you mean?
Well, right now, we do have a separation, don't we, in terms of like kids are, sixth graders
It's kind of a
don't play baseball.
case by case, and that's something that we can address down the road. I don't see a huge change in that right away as far as having sixth graders.
No, and Sam
participate.
and I have talked about that. So for example, I can personally speak to baseball, because there were times that I helped out with baseball last spring. Sixth graders, based on where our numbers were brought up last year. I'd say, like Jeff said, looking at individual basis and where we are with numbers, whether we bring them up or not.
So pretty much the status quo is, in terms of the activity side of things.
I would say for starting out.
Yep. Okay.
But I see as, if you look at our numbers as they get smaller, there might be more of a need for doing that. Moving on, the other recommendation I'm making for reductions would be, we added the floating substitute teacher position. That kind of stemmed out of the low numbers of subs during COVID. We just increased our sub rate quite a bit to help that. We've had a couple more subs coming in now. In your board packet, I've just threw some of the numbers on, you can see how much the usage is and how that's split between our budgeted substitute budget and the extra cost that's associated with that. I'm gonna pull up our projection model. So, and this is when we meet on Monday to go through our budget with a fine tooth comb, and we'll be looking at this, but this is just a couple, excuse me, a couple of options that we're looking at with different assumptions. This is just one that we've tried. For next year, we're looking at 4% and 2% on the formula. It's still in the legislature. We don't know what's going to come of it. Most schools are feeling fairly confident that for the first year we'll get 4%. Some are talking about 5 and 5%. But this is just, you know, assumptions that if we get the 4 and 2%, and we do these 3 cuts, and that's keeping elementary K through 5 all in 2 sections for another year. We do have a couple small classes there, but we can preserve those in 2 sections. You can see that for this first year, revenues over expenditure, we have a positive $354,000. You can see the impact on our unassigned. We're at 1.0 million right now. That bring us up to 1.3. That's still shy of our 25% goal amount. And it shows how much more we would have to cut to get up to that 25%. The 1.3 would be at that, was it 2 or 3 month was the other recommendation that the auditors had made. The second year, you can see the revenues over expenditures. You can see where our fund balance actually goes down a little bit, or for our unassigned. And you can see almost $500,000 additional cuts we would need to get our fund balance up to 25%. So that's just the first run. The second run with the same assumptions, other than we're looking at 4 and 4%. You say it would be very generous. You can see the revenues over expenditures, and you can see our unassigned balance. The second year, it would maintain a 1.4, which is over the 2 or 3 month buffer, but we were still not up to that 25%. In fact, that would take some significant reductions to get that up in the near future. Any questions on that part? So when we meet on Monday for our budget workshop, if you have runs that you would like us to plan ahead of time, maybe email Sheena or I, and we can put different scenarios in. If there's additional FTEs you want to see reduced to see what the impact is, that's something we can discuss at that workshop. Timeline for non-renewals. Back in January is when the board passed the resolution directing me to make recommendations for adjustments, and I'm bringing that to you today. Earlier we had staff meetings that we brought this up to. March 6th is our board workshop on budget projections and planning for fiscal year 24. March 10th, I would like to be able to, if you move ahead with my recommendation, there's 2 staff I would have to notify for non-renewal. I'd like to be able to do that earlier in March than wait later. March 27th, there would be the formal resolution of non-renewal, and then March 28th, they would get the written non-renewal. Technically, I think it's June is the deadline. But I think, to be fair to those people, the earlier the better, so I don't wanna drag this out. Any questions?
The movement on the variance is the number that I keep looking at. I mean, you referenced, getting back to 25%, but I don't see that as a realistic one-year goal. I mean, I don't think we ever did.
No.
So, I mean, that incremental movement that way is, I think, what the auditors were effectively looking at too and saying, that's probably a good plan.
Yeah, and like I said, there's lots of stuff happening at the legislature that could impact us. They're talking about, special ed funding, tying the formula to inflation. So there's a whole bunch of things that will impact us. Some stuff with free and reduce, if they pass the free meals for everyone. There's legislation in there that would impact our compensatory, which is directly tied to our free and reduce applicants. We used to be around 300,000. This year I think it's like 80,000. So that's part of the reason we're deficit spending for the fiscal year. If that legislature passes, we'd be back up to about 80%. So that get us up a couple 100,000. So there's lots of little things that can shift. But I think based on the numbers and the enrollment, making these adjustments now, regardless, is a step that we need to take for long-term, getting us back up to that 25%. That's all I have, unless there's questions.
Any questions right now? So March 6th at
March 6th at 4 o'clock work for everyone?
4 o'clock.
Is that okay?
Room is aware of that too. You said that at the beginning of the meeting, didn't you? The room is aware of that.
Yeah, it's a public meeting. It will be posted and, yeah.
And the goal is to go through this a little more in depth and have some time to talk about it. And
Yep.
So before you abandon that
Yep.
train of thought, Georgina's not here yet.
Right.
She was listed as somebody who was going to, I think subject matter was, would
Staff
like to address the
reductions.
board regarding proposed staff reductions.
Yeah.
Am I missing out on some of her recommendations? Is that something that she was put up here as a presenter for the group that's here right now? Am I missing something, or was she just doing that individually?
That was an online submission, and I believe she wanted to address specifically the DU student position, which at this time is not on my recommended list. So, as I stated before, I did do internal meetings with staff, and we looked at worst case scenario for the.
I just didn't know if she was a summary person or had been asked to stand up in front of the crowd or something.
No. Just wanted to address the
Okay.
student's position, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but I believe that's what she had indicated, so.
But if people do have input, definitely reach out to us, I would
If
say.
you have input, call me on anything,
Yeah,
any questions on
Now's the
any
time.
topic. You know, you have the right to come here and present it, but include me. I'm happy to sit down with anyone and discuss things. I think sometimes I'm about the last person that you hear from people, and it's usually in a public forum. So I would encourage you to stop in anytime. I'm happy to meet with you.
Yeah, you can call me, and all I'm gonna do is call Jeff anyway. So if you're in my constituency, call Jeff.
And if you come to me and you don't like what I say, then call
Then
him.
we can talk about it, but
No,
that's the chain of command
Yeah.
works well that way.
so definitely, we do want input, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely.
It'd be nice to have more people like this though, every meeting.
Yeah.
Popcorn.
Little popcorn.
Okay, anything else, Jeff?
No, I think I've done enough for one night.
Okay. High school principal, Mary Merchant.
Okay, talk quick. We've received the funding for the Together Strong grant, and so we're, moving forward for looking at or purchasing the monitors to put out in the commons area, so we will have digital signage for announcements, lunch menu, the various buzz will go on there, and our, Prevention Coalition has also said they would help support that, so they are, going to fund some additional things that the video production class will need, and, it could be anybody who, if other classes want to use it for filming, to put things up, that would support the school. And then it would be housed in the office, and before we even got to this point, I had conversation with Tracy about being the person who would put the announcements on there and everything, and she is well on board to do that. So that when we hear kids say, I can't hear the announcements, it would be the signage that would be rolling there throughout the day for them to see. And then where the screen is up on that little stage platform, that will be taken down, and a big TV screen will be put up there with the announcements and whatever we want to put up there, but it also then, could be used, let's say a small group wants to bring in a group of kids to watch a movie or something. It can be used for that also. I applied for a PBIS mini grant, and so I should have some time in March, whether we get that or not. That was for $1,000, and that would be used for recognition for the students and to help create the videos also. When I started here 3 years ago, we didn't have video production, then we just got a group of kids to do some videos for the different parts of PBIS, like when we address classroom hallways, be safe, be responsible, and respectful. And so, even after 3 years, they need to be updated a little bit, because if you think about it, that was in the midst of COVID, so thinking how things have changed back to normal and regular, so looking at updating those. At conferences on Thursday, I will say I was disappointed, as well as the teachers in the low turnout, but we also had girls in a way. I think it was the girls. No, the girls were home and the boys were away, so it was a busy night with people not necessarily being in the building. There was a holiday ball dance Friday evening, and coming to the board for approval is our course handbook with updates, and I don't think we have any new classes proposed for next year, but it was really just if teachers needed to change some language in the course handbook, and then we'll look at getting registered, ready for registration already in March of next school year. Do you have any questions for me?
Any questions? We'll move on. Business office, Sheena?
I think she did hers
Covered
already.
it under the, yeah.
We don't want to hear that again.
Right. Thank you. Okay, transportation, Brad Abbey.
I have a thing on the subway for the clusters. I talked about the last work session, that Jeff and I talked about, and basically just kind of feeding back the pay scale that the full-time bus drivers have for our part-time, as far as longevity, years of experience, stuff like that go. And you know, look at that. Basically. And then I'm gonna kind of paraphrase on this. So as like we have our negotiations for full-time bus drivers, hope that this would follow their new pay schedule also. So, and I know that's supposed to be done by July, so, this is their one they have now, but it will be signing a new contract in July, so hope that this will follow that. I don't know how we go about that. That's basically what I have, and I don't know how, are we gonna act on this, or what we're gonna do with it, but as far as sub-pay goes, I'd like to get it going as quick as possible. I have three rough full-time routes here with my subs right now, so. Like that, and see if we can, I don't know how that works, but. And then on my other stuff is Jen Wilmer, she recently one of the routes, and there'd be last minor design here last month, and then, Kathy's, was back in December, so that's the 3 routes, and then covering them. One's, a bus driver that resigned for medical reasons, came back to drive, part-time or permanent sub for the route for the rest of the year. And, the other 3 ones that resigned recently also are gonna still be on the sub list, so I'd like to get them, right where they're at. That way it kind of alleviates any who's where and what, so. What's your thoughts on this? Is this something maybe very realistic? Just right over for
So it's not on,
It's,
No.
was not on
The agenda.
action, because we just got the information, we can,
yeah,
if the board wants to move forward, otherwise we would do it at the next board meeting.
can we look at how it would impact the budget if we make these changes? Seems like,
We can, but I'll be honest, I'm not sure what else we can do with getting sub-drivers.
Okay.
Quite honestly,
so you're saying
I would recommend that we
do it?
would do it.
The way the numbers were presented, you had a chance though to look at them from a business office, at least say, okay,
No, you haven't got them out.
okay.
We can go with the working, March 6th.
We can report on it at the,
That would be
at the
good.
workshop. Right now, I'm gonna advertise as a workshop. If we wanna do action items, we can do it that way as well. Then it'd be a special board meeting.
I'd say leave any action to the regular board meeting is
Make
would be my recommendation, and then we can just hash things out at this workshop.
So we'll have a cost
could
out
make it
for
retroactive.
the workshop.
You could do it retroactive.
Yeah.
You know,
Can you do it retroactive? Lindsay,
I think we
Bethia,
can.
if we wanted to go
Well,
ahead.
what we've been doing with other changes is, once it's approved, to do the next pay period would
Okay.
be the next start.
Okay.
Retroactive's messy.
So,
And I will say, just on another note, and side note, just for further thinking, that before COVID, we had about, 10 routes. We had 11 before, now we're down to 7, and the sped route, it's only 1 hour a day, so it's 2 hours, or 1 hour per transportation, so it's 2 hours a day. So we're down quite a bit on our, the buses are a lot fuller, and the routes are a lot longer, so. That being said,
Well, and we could advertise March 6th as a
Just a
special meeting.
special board meeting.
And if we don't make a decision, it can always be moved. I mean, you can just say we're gonna
Advertise this,
table it.
We'll have a
That would give
special
us the
meeting, we'll
option.
have it,
And if we're
an
not
action
ready,
item on the
we table
agenda,
it.
and the board can always move the table.
Yep, I think that would maybe,
Yeah.
could move it quicker too.
We'll do that.
okay. And on another note, we did receive our cameras from the Stop Arm Camera Grant. They're now at the bus garage up in storage, and they got dates worked out for, installation. I'm trying to fit it between school being done with and our DOT inspection. Trying to get them all put in before that happens, and that's supposed, tentatively, this can take about 10 to 12 days, and that'd be right after school gets out in the beginning of June, we'd get going, I think it's tentatively June 5th, so.
I guess my question for that, are they gonna be high enough resolution you can see the license plate number of the car blowing
That's
it?
what they say, that's, as I told them, I said, the cameras we got now are pretty new, but, broad daylight, sunny day, and we still can't read license plates, so, I'm hoping. I know one thing is, I got some cameras on the inside that are more of like a, an angle, fish eye lens. There's some blind spots, you can put a lot of cameras, and the camera's gotta be in a certain position, so the DOT will give them, these are more cameras you're putting in, the more product you're gonna have. wish I was supposed to see more, because every time something happens on a bus, it's always in the blind spot, seems like half the time, and you're like, I can hear it, but I can't see it, or I can, so hopefully that'll alleviate a lot of that.
Anything else?
That's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Brett. All right. Last, buildings and grounds with Seth.
Just have a couple quick updates. Two of them are not on the back yet because they just came about. This morning, last night, we started opening accesses to all the fields. Get them ready with the temperatures warming up quick. We have to get that done before we can't. So my crew's been really working diligently and trying to get that so we can get ahead of the game so we can keep sports work going on schedule this spring. The other one, we did receive a $2,400 grant from NDH for drinking water stations. I submitted that, we were approved, the paperwork is behind because of lack of staff at NDH right now. They did send a letter saying we are approved, we just don't know when we're gonna get it. So until I get the okay, we cannot purchase or put in the other two. Once I get that okay, we're ready to go on that one. The last one is the FEMA update. They're moving forward, pushing forward for the parking lot and driveway to get that repaired, to cover that. That one's moving forward, and track damage, that one is in hold right now. They're, I don't know, disputing or discussing which best route to take at this point. That is where we're at with that right now.
Who's they in the track dispute?
That is FEMA itself.
But who are they discussing it with? Like
There's like 7 different levels within FEMA that they have to go through.
Internally?
Yeah, internally.
You want an impressive bureaucracy? Work with FEMA. It's impressive.
Yeah.
We're still working it with the highway department, and so I feel your pain.
So.
But the track is a functional piece of equipment at the moment. I mean, I know you have some lane issues there, but you could run a track meet there.
We could by shutting 3 of the 9 lanes down. Yeah.
And going around, I know you do the snow plowing on the ball fields, and then, but on the track, you run around with the snow blower.
Yep.
Will that cause a problem with that soft spot, or?
No. Okay. No, been shown at all. As long as the ground is frozen, that happened last spring. We got frost in the ground. It's, should be just fine.
Okay.
Anything else for Seth? All right, if not, we will close the working session and open the regular meeting. You guys need a break? Not usually.
You want to announce the meeting one more time as people are leaving, just like Monday is, go ahead, too late, isn't it? It's already,
Put in the paper.
yeah, sorry.
Flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're ready for that. We're still down here gabbing.
I'm not used to all the background.
Pay attention.
Yeah.
Right. Didn't you see my lips moving? Okay, I need to get my,
Yeah, you better
Cheat
wait
sheet.
till the brouhaha gets out of the room.
there you go.
Woody's gonna talk, he's trying to round stuff up.
Oh. My battery's dead, pretty much. Okay.
So, the Georgina one, like I said, I don't mean to beat that in the ground, that's,
I think that was her own individual.
yeah. And do you think that just the fact that you didn't put that, or that the Dean of Students was removed from that discussion, that she probably said, okay, I don't need to show, or she was gonna be pro keeping the Dean of Students? Okay. Fair enough.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna call for, motion to
Yeah.
approve the agenda.
Is that something
Are there
like the
any
motion for
additions?
that reason a few years ago?
Or seconded, whichever.
I'll
Okay.
second.
Got a motion to approve the agenda. A second?
I'll second it.
Boyd got it.
Oh,
Boyd got it.
Robin and I
Yeah.
fought over a long time ago.
Any discussion, any additions? If not, I will call for a vote. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion passes. Board presenters, we don't have any, this one, right? Okay.
Not that I'm aware of.
Written communication. Okay, so we've got the letter regarding post-secondary planning from Katie Nelson. We don't need to go, that's just listed on here as a, got it, okay. Lake of the Woods Education in Minnesota intent to negotiate letter from Ms. Tangy.
And we haven't set a date or anything on that yet. Okay.
And then the MSBA spring training brochure.
That's in the file.
Yep.
Okay.
Let me know if you need help with registering for anything.
Got it, all right. Nothing else under written communication, no old business listed. Looking at new business, I'm looking for a motion to approve the January 23rd, 2023 board meeting minutes.
Make the motion.
I'll second. Okay, motion by Boyd, second by Robita. Any discussion? Call for a vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Looking for a motion to approve the invoices, financial statements, bank reconciliation, wire transfers, and purchase card statements.
I'll make that motion.
Second by Lyon.
Motion by Ellis, second by Lyon. Any discussion?
There was a cost in there, I don't even want the details, it was just for a shoe replacement. And at some point, I'm gonna get the details on that check. No, it was like $40, but it was a shoe replacement. So I'll show you too, yeah.
Was it Jeff at Hometown Hardware?
Yeah, from Jeff at Hometown Hardware. Okay, any more discussion?
No.
All right, call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Looking for a motion to approve personnel resignations, retirements, and appointments. Under resignations, we have Amy Hendrickson, high school math teacher, and Jennifer Wilmer, bus driver. And appointments, Carol Busco, assistant cook. Busco?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Johnson.
I'll second that.
Oh. Second by Ellis. Sure. Any discussion?
I appreciate the fact that when Amy Hendrickson resigns, she says, I look forward to coming back. You know, that's always a nice addendum on the letter, so.
Yeah, what
thank
was
you.
why did she resign? Just,
They're not moving here.
okay.
Family placement, basically, or whatever, geography. And that Jen Wilmer was a long-time busman. I mean, many years, right? So, and is she still gonna, Brad's gone, that's why I was looking that way, but she's still gonna stick around and sub? Is that part of what he's talking about?
Yeah, I don't think so, Jen.
Because I know she does, if I got this right, she does like basketball games, she does the books at all those or something. I mean, she's pretty involved in that. I don't know if she's in the other sports scenes or not, but, and that's without kids in the school anymore, right? Yeah, I mean, those are nice community people, so I would just like to point that out, that we're gonna miss her. And then I don't know Carol Bushko at all, so I'm not gonna make a comment there, but it's nice to see we have an assistant cook.
There you go. All right, any other discussion? If not, I will call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? Motion passes. Next up is looking for a motion to approve the high school principal's contract for 2022-2023.
I'll motion. I'll second.
Second, oh, okay.
I've got a motion and a second by Robin. Any discussion, questions?
Welcome aboard.
Again.
Well, we haven't approved it yet, I guess.
All right. I'll call for a motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Now you can, Tim.
Nice to have you. And I know you say that with sincerity, which is what I really appreciate. You're not being sarcastic when you say great to be here. You enjoy it here, so thank you. Appreciate that.
All right. Next up, we're looking for a motion to approve the high school course handbook for the 2023-2024 school year.
Make the motion.
Second by Lyon.
Okay, motion by Johnson, second by Lyon. Any discussion? When does that get distributed and made available online and all that good stuff?
Well, I can tell, we can put it online right away.
Sure.
We'll start to get word out to kids and look at some dates to schedule, so we want to be all finished before we start testing season.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you. All right, I'll call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next up, we're looking for a motion to approve and adopt the following policies, and these are all single reading, correct? Okay, so we got 101, legal status of the school district, 104, school district mission statement, 201, legal status of the school board, 202, school board officers, 207, public hearings, 208, development, adoption, and implementation of policies, 209, code of ethics, 210, conflict of interest, 211, criminal civil action against school district, school board member, employee or student, and 212, school board member development. Looking for a motion?
Make the motion.
Johnson,
Second by Lyon.
okay. Any discussion? So those are just minor changes, single, and that'd be why it's single reading, so. All right. Okay, call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next up, we're looking for the approval of student activity transfers and account closures.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second. Okay, Carla can have it.
Jump ball.
All right, got a motion by Ellis and a second by Robita. Any discussion?
Is this, obviously it is, but I mean, does this end the ongoing audit question that we always had, or will this recur again?
No, this ends it.
We should end it.
Yeah,
Because we just won't have all those accounts open no more with random stuff going on.
Right.
Okay, so next time we have to, next December, when we get into the audit, we should not hear that student activity fund
We should
again.
not.
I mean, because that's been a recurrent thing for
Yeah.
many years.
As far as inactive accounts, and as long as we follow
The policies
our
and,
documentation and purchases, that's.
But Sheena said they were going to be on the sheet still, but just showing zero, right?
well,
Or-
those, the accounts we close will be
For
on,
the remainder of this year.
will be on the list that goes out to the
Cause we
teachers
can't
and to the
officially
board
close them until.
until
Okay.
year end, yeah.
Until you get closed out, I suppose. Okay.
But we have documentation for those, when we close those.
Right.
So that should, if the auditors have.
Okay, good.
Any other discussion? Call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. And lastly, we've got, looking for a motion to approve Resolution 2022/2023-19 to accept the revised/amended budget for FY '23.
Make the motion.
Second by Lyon.
Okay, Johnson and Lyon. Any discussion? Call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Any other business? Adjourn the meeting at 7:25.
What?
Thank you for coming, everybody.
I was just gonna ask, when can we look forward to some designation or discussion in regards to policies?
Well, specifically which policy? But I mean,